following announcement has been paid for by the
Welcome to the Elite Mark Order podcast. If you haven't already, please give us a subscribe, press the like button, or leave a comment down below about your thoughts on last night's Dynamite. You can also join us in the Discord if you want to become an Elite Mark by going to EliteMarkOrder.com or click the link in the description below. I'm Cosmic Scott. Tonight, I've got JayV with me, and we're talking about Dynamite from June 14, 2023, from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., in the Capital One Arena. Jay, how are you tonight? What are your thoughts about the show overall?
I'm good. I think it was my second favorite Dynamite show ever. Really enjoyed it, and looking forward to getting into some of the excitement tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to say, I know that there were some things about the ratings dipping, etc. You know what? The people at the show had a hell of a time. I know Redhead Kingpin was telling us he thought it was great. So the live audience was into it. The people watching it, we loved it. The ratings don't reflect that. Who cares? I thought it was really great. I definitely want to start talking about that main event and the aftermath because, oh my God, there was chaos. Up, down, left, and right. Now, the main event itself was the Elite, of course, the Hangman Page and the Young Bucks versus Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta. Now, they did not call them the Hung Bucks. And there was that little graphic that said they have another nickname of a graphic nature, or of a sexual nature. And then it said something about an incorrect anatomical description or something. Basically saying the Hung Bucks have small dicks. It was really funny. I was quite surprised to see that they actually said something about the Hung Bucks nickname. But they came out to the Elite. They did the Wayward Son entrance, which I thought, that's odd. That's something they would normally do with Kenny. Turns out Kenny was there. Showed up later. But it was a really, really good match. There was just a lot going on. A lot of different things that you really can't keep up with a match like this. You really can't. There were dives. There were kicks. There were idle drivers. It was fucking amazing. Danielson on commentary, as always, selling everything. You had Yuta with a kick out. Danielson's like, I wanted to kick out faster. Just every little thing. Danielson on the microphone, Danielson in commentary is pure spun gold. I love this match. When it came down to the end, they talked about it in commentary that the BCC have not lost a match in over a year with Moxley in their team. And tonight they lost. Wheeler Yuta finally got pinned because he's been getting all these great pins. Finally got pinned. It didn't take, but the Young Bucks got to hit a super kick party, followed up by a pop-up power bomb, followed up by the BTE trigger from the Bucks, followed up by a buckshot lariat for the pin. They destroyed Yuta. But it was a great ending, and then there was so much chaos. We'll talk about the chaos in a second. Let's talk about the match. What did you think about the match, Jay? How did it break down for you?
It was cool to see. Well, there were some questions about, was Kenny there or not? There was some rumbling in the chat room about, hey, this is going to be the fourth Dynamite that Kenny hasn't bothered to show up on. Maybe he's still in Japan working on the Final Fantasy 16 launch, whatever he was doing with that, Street Fighter 6, the other game that he's in. Meanwhile, Fight Forever is going to be released in a couple weeks, and he hasn't really, done much with that. But anyhow, yeah, Hangman came out with the Bucks to Wayward Sons. We weren't sure if we were going to get Wayward Sons here, and it did. And I thought the Bucks looked great with their cowboy hats on and their black and white gear.
Yeah,
I would love to see Ringside come out with a collectible set with those three guys wearing what they had on tonight. It would be a really cool figure set to have.
It'd also make a great DLC pack for Fight Forever.
There you go. Yeah, you could sell the gear and Fight Forever. That would be
absolutely
cool. Yeah, I guess you ran through the match. It was surprising to see the Bucks get such a clean victory over BCC. This was the first time BCC has lost in a tag match with Mox in over a year, which is quite the streak. And I thought the Hung Bucks smoked them pretty good. The pop-up power bomb into the BTE trigger into the buckshot. Just a couple other notes I had on the match. I love Claudio and Mox working together. These guys are great. They did the Doomsday device on one of the Bucks. That was pretty cool. Claudio did a rocket launcher with Yuta. It's ended up being blocked.
Also called the Speedball, the Fastball Special, which is an X-Men name. It's a comic book reference. Okay. Fastball Special.
Was the Fastball Special, was that when Colossus throws somebody? Okay.
Yes. Specifically, it was Colossus throwing Wolverine. However, Rogue, after absorbing all of the power from Carol Danvers, becoming the super powerful Rogue herself, with super strength, would throw Wolverine a couple times through Colossus. Sometimes they would just, switch it up, and different people would get thrown. But the most classic version is Colossus throwing Wolverine into the fray. And let me tell you, nothing better than getting Wolverine up and close really fast to start shredding shit up. So that's the Fastball Special.
All right. Yeah, I just remember that from the collectible card game, Marvel Overpower. I never read the comics, but I played that game quite a bit, and there was Colossus had a card called Fastball Special, so I remember it.
Absolutely. I'm a big comic book collector, so that's yeah. That was from the 90s. That was from the 90s. My heyday of comic book fandom.
How many copies of Amazing Fantasy number 16 do you have?
I think you're talking about 15, which is the appearance of Amazing Spider-Man. And considering mint, it goes for $1.5 million. I have 0. I do.
But you do have a couple copies of Action number 1 then, right?
Of course. Superman, absolutely. I also have the original artist rendition of Batman from Bill Finger.
Nice.
Absolutely. So, no question about that. My collection is extensive.
All right. Anyway. Well, we'll have to have a separate podcast on comic book stuff someday, but
the Elite Mark Order comic book podcast is coming soon.
Go. It's going to be huge.
It will. Right after the Fight Forever channel.
A couple other notes I had. Danielson said, I think it was actually X-Kilber said that the Bucks and Hangman hadn't teamed up in a trios match in AEW. And Danielson says they haven't teamed up in AEW because their individual ambition is more important than their love for each other. And I was like, wow, that's. I'm trying to think of another announcer that would say something like that because it's so ridiculous. But at the same time, it's hilarious. It's just, I love Danielson on the mic.
Well, you had his name right. You had Brian. You called him Brian, so
right, but
that's correct.
I'm trying my damnedest to say Danielson instead of Brian because if I say Danielson, then I won't say the other word, the other name that I'm trying to
break the habit
erase from my mind. It's difficult.
It can be. You call a person a name for 20 years, and it really sort of gets ingrained.
Yeah.
Claudio, he was Cesaro, and now he's fully rebranded himself back to Claudio, and good on him. But he still goes by Swiss as his gamer tag. So there you go.
So
I love the gear on everybody. The way it says Swiss, it says Mox, it says Yuta. And then I think Danielson says Dragon. I love their gear. I would buy their gear.
All right. So, I'm looking up the Orihara moonsault, the moonsault to the outside of the ring, invented by Masao Orihawa.
I will be honest, that damn near was the spot of the week when Hangman does that running shooting star press from the apron and the Bucks are holding Wheeler Yuta across and he just flattens him. Oh my fucking Lord. That might have been the spot of the week if Keith Lee hadn't been Keith Lee.
That was incredible. I thought that was, God damn, that had to hurt. that
Yeah.
for Yuta, that had to hurt. That's just a rough drop with, especially with the dude landing on top of you.
They worked Yuta over in that match. He really earned his bones in this company. But he's also in the ring literally with their top people.
Yep.
I mean, he's a made man right now. He's building a literal career, and his spots are starting to catch on. Like his little rebound thing where he goes out of the ring and then he not skins the cat, but he goes under like the bottom of the middle rope or whatever. He does some crazy stuff with the ropes and some other movement. He's really good. People don't notice it. He's building some real credential. I think Yuta's gonna go a long way. And Danielson loves him now. So you get somebody like Danielson on your side. I don't care who you are, you're gonna improve. So after the match, do you have any other comments about the match itself?
Just when Nick Jackson did a moonsault to the outside or a backflip to the outside on the Claudio, and Claudio caught him and gave him a pop-up European uppercut. I thought that was just an incredible display of strength.
Claudio has been doing some amazing moves. You remember last week we talked about Trent did the backflip into the uppercut.
Yeah.
And so that seems to be, there are people out there in the company that do these backflips. I think Claudio's like, I'm going to turn it into a spot where I nail him with an uppercut. Yeah. And I'm here for it. I thought there were so many times in this match that it could have gone either way. And yet the Elite, the Hung Bucks, they came out looking really, really strong, which is good. They are a top act. And the BCC, I mean, this feud goes on, and I'm not tired of it. They're really making me enjoy this. Now, part of it was the chaos in the aftermath. After the match itself, the BCC, they don't stay down long, as Danielson says, immediately turned on the Bucks, immediately started to beat everybody up ringside and bring the beat down. And suddenly, Eddie Kingston makes a return. I sure wasn't expecting that. He comes down, clears house. I mean, he immediately went after Claudio. They start going at it a little bit. Yuta, he knocks those guys around. They get out, and in comes Moxley. They go face to face, and in come the Bucks. And it's just back and forth. Then Takeshita runs down. He blindsides Kingston. He clears out the Elite. He's standing tall. And then Kenny shows up, and he charges the ring. As he's going at it with Takeshita, about to hit the V-trigger, a wild Will Ospreay appeared, and he killed Kenny. And eventually, he stood tall to end out this chaotic ending. And Don Callis and Bryan Danielson are applauding Will Ospreay killing Kenny in the middle of the ring. My God, what an ending it was. People just kept coming out. What did you think about the entire thing?
I loved it. I thought it was outstanding. It was first off, Eddie Kingston comes out. He did not have a kitten, by the way. I thought for sure when he came back to AEW, he would have the kitten. And then when he cleared the ring and he threw Yuta and Claudio out, and then I thought Jon Moxley might have had a kitten because he didn't attack Jon Moxley, but him and Mox have a lot of history together, obviously, and they wouldn't hit each other. The Bucks started beating on Mox, and Kingston kind of pulled the Bucks away. And then Takeshita and Callis come out to resounding boos. Like the place just booed the hell out of them. It's just awesome how much heel heat they have right now. And of course, Kenny's battle cry hits, and I popped. I think I stood up out of my seat.
Of course you did.
And it's him and Takeshita finally square off after everything that's gone down. There's a hockey fight. Takeshita hit Kenny with an eye rake, and more on that in just a second. Kenny counters. He hits a V trigger. There's a double super kick by the Bucks. Snapdragon. And then Kenny's really selling the eye rake, and so I don't know But then he just like completely no-sold it. But it was just weird how he kind of went down. Like, I don't know if there might be something in the future with that. Like, when he does square off against Takeshita, if Takeshita's going to go after his eye, maybe that's like a weak spot that, is a story reserved for Takeshita. I don't know. Maybe it's something that happened in DDT Pro many years ago. Who knows? It's just the brilliance and the history that Kenny includes in his matches. Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
If it's an old callback, no, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah,
he's got that long-term sort of thing. And Takeshita, as you well know, has been in the business a long time. He's new to AEW fans like myself. He's caught on like wildfire. But this is a man who's been grinding for years and years. So they have history. Maybe they're building off it. Maybe not. Maybe they're making new history. Whatever it was, I'm into it. This is a great story. I love absolutely the heat that Callis brings by being by his side is nuclear level. I'm down for it. I'm so happy to see Callis being able to give the rub to somebody like Takeshita. He was with Kenny. He built the story and the history and all that with Kenny. And so when he did turn, it really became significant. And I'm liking where this story's going. This is how to end and sell a pay-per-view to me. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and plus we have another week. Like, this wasn't even the go-home show.
It should have been. It could have been pay-per-view level. Yeah,
it would have been like AEW's best go-home show in a long time, because generally their go-home shows have sucked for the past few pay-per-views. I mean, basically they're just resting all their top guys, but it's like, come on. I mean, the guys can come out and do a few moves without getting hurt like they did last night for the most part. So I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Ospreay coming out, the holy shit chance. He hit Kenny with the hidden blade to the front. I guess it's not a hidden blade. I don't know if he has a different name for it. If he does it to the front.
I saw it all referred to as hidden blade.
Yeah. So he hits the hidden blade to the front. Pops up Kenny for the Stormbreaker, which might be the first time Ospreay has ever hit Kenny with the Stormbreaker, but I'm not sure on that.
Well, it wasn't in a match, so it doesn't count.
Right. And it still counts.
Okay.
The other thing was Ospreay was pointing to his head before he, hit Kenny with the hidden blade, and that might have been a callback to Ibushi. So at Wrestle Kingdom a couple years ago, Ospreay fought Ibushi and hit Ibushi with a bunch of those hidden blades, and Ibushi had to be stretchered out. And that's one of the, that's part of the feud between Kenny and Ospreay, is what Ospreay did to Ibushi after Kenny left to go AEW. And I thought like this could be a good storyline to bring Ibushi back as a heel. Kenny abandoned him and he got hurt. And but anyhow, yeah, it was great. The crowd was, laying the holy shit chants on. Crowd popped huge for Kenny and again for Ospreay. It's just Forbidden Door is going to be incredible. I can't wait. I guess
you'll be added. The fact that you'll be added, I think, adds quite a bit. And you were anticipating it to be good to begin with.
Yeah. I think it's right now. I think it's possibly the best pay-per-view on paper ever right now, from the standpoint of quality of matches. Like,
right. And my only question is, what do you do next year? Where do you go from here?
Yeah, there's always places to go as you build guys up. I'm not worried about that. I'm just looking forward to this show. It's going to be incredible. I guess my last comment on this was Ospreay was wearing like this white Vans t-shirt and gray sweatpants. It's like, come on, man. I mean, some of the AEW audience doesn't know you. Like, I mean, I don't give a fuck. And obviously the arena, most of the people there didn't give a fuck. But the casual people who were, kind of learning and deciding whether they're going to get the pay-per-view, I don't know. I just, dude, fucking wear some badass looking gear out to the ring. Wear a t-shirt that I want to buy.
Yeah.
It just helps the fans get more engaged, and just don't show up like you're some bum off the street. I mean,
he literally looked like he jumped the rail.
Yeah, I don't know. I just,
in a bad way. You don't want to encourage that. That's not a thing you want the fans to do.
It reminded me a lot of basically how Kenny dressed like his first year in AEW. He was always very like super casual with like a white shirt and like cut off sweats or something. Like he didn't take any. But when Kenny was heel champ, he was always wearing a suit and those Gucci sunglasses or whatever. But yeah, that was my only criticism, which isn't much. I mean, it's really trivial. I probably shouldn't even bring it up, but there it is.
It's something. It caught honestly, I noticed it. I was like, okay, he's dressed kind of like a fan. You're right. He didn't dress like he was part of the show. He looked like he just jumped a rail and got involved, which, kind of shows realism. But at the same time, like I said, it's not a behavior you want to encourage. So, that said, it was a great ending to the show. I'm super excited. But the next thing I want to talk about is the big premiere show of Collision coming up on Saturday. Now, they still have Rampage. There's still quite a good Rampage. Again, according to Redhead Kingpin, who was there, there's still quite a lot of show left to go. But I'm interested in seeing what Collision's about. Now, last week, I'm like, who gives a fuck about Collision? This week, they've announced some of the matches. Now, I didn't care, and I still don't care about the 6-man with CM Punk, FTR, Samoa Joe, and Bullet Club Gold. I really just don't care. But I'm excited to see Miro back. I'm interested in seeing Buddy Murphy versus Andrade. That got quite a reaction from the live crowd when it was announced. I was surprised. I'm interested in seeing some of the other matches, Wardlow versus Luchasaurus, which we'll talk about later. I want to see some of those matches, even if I don't give two shits about the CM Punk match. CM Punk also later on has a video package. I've got things to say. I got a lot of whatever. Great. You're selling the show. I'm still a fan. I'm still going to watch. But CM Punk, I'm okay. The shine's wearing off a little bit. Let's see where you go. Much like this last year, you had a stumble. How do you recover? AEW's recovered without him. They're doing pretty well again. They're back on track, building steam, gaining momentum. I love to see it. Can Punk rebuild himself and carry a show? I don't know. We'll see. But I'm very interested in seeing Collision now because of some of the other matches, not because of CM Punk, which isn't the way it should be. That's not how it should sell. But that's reality for a lot of us. Jay, what are your thoughts on Collision? Now that we know the matches. I'm interested
in the Wardlow Luchasaurus match. Super interested in that. I was hoping we got that at the pay-per-view. We got Christian versus Wardlow instead, which I thought was kind of a mediocre ladder match. I think Luchasaurus and Wardlow are going to put on a really good show. You have two of the most agile big men in the history of the business. No one the size of Wardlow does a senton like he did. He does. No. And Luchasaurus is just incredibly agile as well.
Yeah.
All kinds of crazy flips and, using that lucha style as a 6'3", 270 pounds or whatever the hell he weighs.
He's a big dude.
It's going to be an awesome match. I'm looking forward to it. I guess my concern is that they might burn themselves out early. And blow themselves up because neither of these guys are really known for their stamina. So they do have that working against them, but looking forward to that match. As for the rest of the card, Buddy Matthews versus Andrade is I'm interested in. I think that should be a good wrestling match, but everything else is not really too interesting to me. So,
well, and that's the thing is it's a mix. What are they going to do? What's going to happen? I'm hoping it's worthwhile 2 hours. I know that we'll have. I think Redhead himself actually said that he's available to do a Collision review. So we'll see if we can get something together and maybe put something together on a weekly basis. I don't know. If it's going to be as good as they're trying to promote it. I know Tony can put on amazing shows and then he can put on Rampage. So, I'm just hoping to see some really good plot continue between both shows. I don't want them to be completely separate. If they are separate, fine. I don't think that AEW is at a strong enough point to really have a hard separation. So there has to be flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see if they do any build for Forbidden Door at Collision. I think if they do not, it's going to speak volumes on how that these two brands are kind of different. You'd think there should be some Forbidden Door stuff here. I don't know who is going to compete. Like, I mean, to get on the Forbidden Door card, you have to be, at a minimal upper mid card guy. So we could get CM Punk Kenta. Kenta continues to tease that on Twitter. Kenta posted a picture of himself with the Collision logo on. So
yeah,
I'm not
doing
sure.
the CM Punk arms cross, doing the CM Punk's arm cross thing.
So I think that like that would just be amazing if we got Punk versus Kenta at Forbidden Door as well. Like, I mean, that would just be ridiculous. It's just so many people have been calling for that match for so long since Punk stole, Kenta's finisher and some of his other moves.
To go to sleep, yeah.
Kenta, of course, is he's a smaller wrestler, and his name is based. It's basically a tribute to Kenta Kobashi, the great All Japan / Noah champion who had one of the most dominant title runs in the history of the business. And so I'm a big Kenta fan. I wasn't a big fan of his work in NXT when he was there, and he changed his name to Hideo Itami and all that. But yeah, Kenta's an incredible wrestler, and just to see him versus Punk would just be ridiculous. I mean, I can't imagine it would be a long match. Of course, Punk's going to have to win, but I hope at least Kenta gets to hit Punk with the GTS a couple times and get some revenge for Punk stealing his move. But yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, I think it's a big unknown. I mean, Tony was on an interview last week. I forget what show it was. He does this guy Barstool, maybe.
Yeah, Barstool.
He talks to those guys pretty regularly, and he said it's not a hard brand split. But I mean, to me, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a split. So, like, Punk isn't probably going to be fighting on Dynamite. So
that's the idea.
Yeah. So we'll be.
But we do get to see Will Hobbs. We get to see more of Will Hobbs. I'm all for that. I'm on the Hobbs train. So he
doesn't have a match announced yet, right?
Not 100% on that. Let me check.
Oh, maybe he'll fight Miro.
That would suck. Miro's clearly going to win. No, it's not anything announced, but I'm still expecting it. The reason I'm expecting it is because they've talked about Will Hobbs over and over and over and over on QTTV. Going specifically to Collision. So I anticipate he's going to be on Collision. But
all right. I haven't been watching QTV, so I wouldn't know.
I don't watch it. It just shows up. And I tolerate it.
All right.
But anyways, so I'm excited for Collision. It comes out Saturday. All the questions will be answered. Maybe. And we'll see where it goes. If you know what? It could be the best thing ever. It could.
No, it couldn't. It logically it could not. So
yeah,
in my opinion, of course.
But if you believe with your heart and not your head, if you just believe and you clap along, then Tinkerbell will come back to life.
Yeah, I didn't get that gene when I was born, so I just can't do it. So
you fucking muggle. Anyways, let's move on to the next spot of the next segment, which is the Spot of the Week. And this week's Spot of the Week is brought to you by our sponsor, Booking.com. Find amazing deals for all your flights, hotels, and car rentals when you go to All In at Wembley Stadium in London, England. Be sure to use the link in the description down below and save. And you'll notice it's a new link. It actually says Elite Mark discounts at the end now. So use it and get yourself a discount. Now, the Spot of the Week itself, for me, comes from the 8-man tag team match between Sting, Darby, Keith Lee, and Orange Cassidy versus the Mogul Embassy, Swerve Cage, and the Gates of Agony, accompanied by Prince Nana. The spot itself was a 4-way powerbomb plus swerve stomp from the top rope turnbuckle combo. It came near the end of the match. Keith Lee was cleaning house. He got Swerve into the corner, and he started to climb. Maybe he was going to do the 10 count punches. I don't know. Instead, he got hit by Brian Cage from behind. Along come the Gates of Agony. They got this mammoth man into a powerbomb position with all three of them holding steady, and then Swerve jumped off the top rope, came down, hit the stomp in a powerbomb top rope stomp combo, wiping out the big man. It was impressive as hell. Now, as a runner-up, there was an amazing spot they almost hit. And if they did, it absolutely would have been the best. And it was Brian Cage did a monkey flip to Keith Lee, who damn near landed on his feet the way it was intended into a double clothesline into the Gates of Agony. If they had hit that, guaranteed that would have been the spot of the night. Instead, Keith Lee didn't quite rotate, didn't quite make it all the way to his feet, got up quickly, hit the double clothesline. It still looked impressive, but damned if that monkey flip hit. I would have lost it. Jay, what was your spot of the week?
I like the MJF flying elbow off the top to the floor through Adam Cole and a table. That actually was my spot of the week.
Real simple.
It was. I'm looking forward to recapping that match. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was one of the better Dynamite matches we've had. I feel like I say that every week, but I mean the matches we do see a lot of great matches on Dynamite, and that's why we have a podcast about it, and that's why I tune in every week with great anticipation. There's a lot of talent and a lot of great matches going on. Matches that we've never seen this quality on in the U.S. on a regular wrestling show. I'm sure some of the haters, are not gonna like that statement, but it's hard to argue. If you look at work rate, I might be a mark because I like work rate because I think two guys chasing each other around for 15 minutes or doing a 12-minute bear hug, that's not entertaining to me. So sorry if I like work rate. There's another product you can watch and comment on if you're not a fan of work rate, but yeah, I mean it was a great match. And a great spot, and I'm just trying to circle this back to the spot of the week since I started rambling. But MJF takes the award. I thought Kenny could have got it with, he hit some pretty nice V triggers. So I was tempted to go with that, but the MJF Cole table spot was my spot of the week.
It was a big call out to Shawn Michaels. They mentioned it during the match. We'll go into a little bit more. It was a classic Shawn Michaels flying elbow through the table. And holy crap, it should have been a freaking a pay-per-view closer. It was that good. Let's actually talk about it because that opened the show. The actual opening of the show was a world championship match between MJF and Adam Cole. Actually, it wasn't a world championship match. It was an eliminator match. And if Adam Cole won, he gets a title shot. It was actually pretty good. The crowd starting this show off with Adam Cole. The crowd is so into him. This crowd was so hot. This was such a good match. It's amazing how well you can start off and then have a great show, and yet people don't watch because maybe MJF was the draw. Maybe they should have put that on last. But to be quite honest, they put it on first for a reason. We'll get into that. The match itself was great because Adam Cole was a smart face and MJF played a great chicken shit heel. He plays super confident until he gets kicked in the face, and then suddenly all the fear shows up. He's an amazing facial expression type actor. I believe that's called emoting. And he's learning to do that really well. During the match, he still screams loud enough to be caught on camera, on the microphone. So, it as a match it was great because Adam Cole kept setting him up and MJF kept dodging. As an example, when Adam Cole had him set up for the boom, he fell forward. Couldn't hit it. There was another time Adam Cole was going to hit a different move. I forget what it was. And MJF fell backward. Totally ruined the spot. So even though he was getting his ass kicked, MJF was still smart enough to maneuver himself around and gain the advantage. Speaking of, there was a ref bump because it's an MJF match. And he did an Eddie Guerrero title spot where he picked up the title, he threw it to Adam Cole, pretended to get knocked out, and thought that he was going to get Cole disqualified. However, the ref, I think it was Mark Remsburg, instead of recovering, fell back down again. And Adam Cole had the title, and he looked at MJF, and he had the title, and he looked at MJF. The crowd chanted, "You fucked up, you fucked up." And he hit MJF in the head with the title. And then Remsburg recovered enough. 1, 2, didn't get the 3. I seriously thought that was the end of the match. It was amazing. How could he not win? Okay. But they turned around. They kept going. Cole retained the advantage. Got it right up to the end. Panama Sunrise. Hit the boom. 1, 2. Bell rings. It's a time limit draw. Are you kidding me? And then Adam Cole asked for 5 more minutes. And then MJF says no. And that's the end of the match. It was a time limit draw. Great match. I think they had to put it first in order to do the full time limit and not make it seem cheap. I think this got the reaction they wanted, which was boos, but it wasn't, I hated this match. Why did it end, that way? It was more of a, I wanted to see the end. People were just right there on the edge. It was perfect timing. It was great. I thought it was an interesting way to have a time limit draw. They haven't done a lot of things like that in AEW. When you do it for a reason. What did you think of the match, Jay? I kind of liked it a lot.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was one of the better matches on Dynamite that we've seen. It's a treat to get an MJF match. I mean, all his matches are spectacular at this point. He's just brilliant.
3-0 this year. 3-0.
Yeah.
3 matches this year. 3-0.
Yeah, I wish he'd fight more, but at the same time, his matches certainly have meaning, and there's certainly anticipation about it. But yeah, I definitely would like to see him fight more often. So I was thrilled to get this Eliminator match. Adam Cole, I think there were some questions about how over he was. I mean, he was super over for this match. I mean, at the beginning of the match, MJF did the Fargo strut to some resounding boos, and Adam Cole basically countered the taunt with the Adam Cole baby. And the crowd was so loud, like there was distortion on the speakers on my TV and the subwoofer. Like it was that loud. Like the crowd was roaring for Adam Cole here. So I think last week we kind of closed out the podcast, and I was like, well, let's see if Adam Cole can keep the crowd, and he certainly did. The DC crowd was 100% behind him.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite spots in the match, and this is just brilliant. MJF started tuning up the band, stomping the foot in the corner before setting up for a super kick. Of course, stealing Shawn Michaels' taunt to irritate Adam Cole, who's Shawn Michaels' boy. If you look at MJF when he's tuning up the band, you can see him chewing on something, and so Adam Cole beat him to the punch with the super kick. MJF's holding his mouth, and then like a whole bunch of blood comes out of MJF's mouth, and it was a decent looking super kick. And at first, I didn't notice that. I only noticed the chewing or whatever when I went back and watched it on the replay. But it's like you're like, holy shit! Did he break MJF's jaw? And it's just the little things like that.
A little bit of realism.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone knows it's scripted. What do they call it? The fans are in on the joke, as some people like to say. I always hate that. I don't like that phrase, but
It's a fair enough description for most
right,
people.
right. But it's stuff like that that keeps fans engaged and keeps fans guessing. And MJF just gets it on so many levels. Like he's just so brilliant.
The one thing that Lawyer Scott brought up in the chat, that this is a delayed gratification match. That this is for building up for when we do finally get to see the win against Max. Eventually, it's going to happen. Maybe not Cole, but down the line it will. And then he also said that that this Adam Cole is the one that won the Owen Cup. He's extremely good. The crowd loves him. And for all the talk about his body, he can go. And that's the thing you care about with a wrestler. I don't care if Evil Uno's built like a donut. I don't care that Kevin Owens has to wear a goddamn t-shirt to feel comfortable. I don't care about that. The fact is, they're great in the ring and they can go. And so can Adam Cole. I don't care if he spends his time playing video games. So do I. I don't care if he went from the Panama Playboy to the Panama Game Boy. I care about whether or not he's good in the ring. And he's still extremely good in the ring. And this match showed it. The crowd was eating out of the palm of his hands.
Yeah, it definitely was a great crowd. A couple other things in this match that I thought were pretty notable. A lot of Cole teasing the Panama Sunrise. I'm not a fan of that move in general, but he did tease that a bunch of times. He was going for it. He even tried to set up the Panama Sunrise on the ring apron outside the ring, and he climbed up to the second rope. Well, MJF was standing outside the ropes on the hard part of the apron, and that led to Adam Cole working a tombstone, a jumping tombstone, mind you, on the hardest part of the ring. And of course, once again, every time MJF does that, he sells his knee, and we go to a PIP ad. So it's a good setup. You get the devastating move right before the commercial break. MJF is kind of cementing his arsenal. He's a guy that uses a bunch of different pile driver variations. Like he has the Heat Seeker. Yeah, and that was teased several times before he pulled it off, and that's a devastating looking move. And if you don't know the Heat Seeker, it's when your opponent is standing outside the ring ropes, in between the top rope and the second rope, kind of bent over, and MJF sneaks a pile driver in from that position, and it usually looks pretty devastating just because of just how the opponent goes through the ropes and how MJF snaps onto the mat. And then he's using the tombstone. I mean, he's done the tombstone just about everywhere. I think he's done a tombstone off the second rope. He's done a tombstone on the hard part of the apron. He's done it outside the ring. I think the only thing we haven't seen is MJF doing a tombstone off the apron to the floor on someone. I wonder who he's saving that for.
I'm waiting for him to do the Zangief, which is from the top rope, the spinning, flying avalanche pile driver. It will kill whoever he puts it on, but I'm expecting him to do the Zangief any show now.
So there's only one guy I've seen do that, and Kenny Omega gave that maneuver to Yoshihiko, the blow-up doll in DDT Pro. It's an incredible sequence that Kenny does. I'll have to link you to it, and I'll put it in the chat room for all the elite marks as well.
But it's a blow-up doll.
It's a blow-up doll.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the only type of person who could take that without dying.
So yeah, and plus it's your opponent has to be pretty light.
Yeah.
So. And I think there's some questions about whether Yoshihiko is a doll or Yoshihiko has an aura or a soul. Yoshihiko is actually fighting at a GCW event that was just announced for New York City, so maybe we'll see Yoshihiko in AEW.
Are they fighting Head?
At what's his name? Oh, geez,
Al Snow.
Al Snow's Head.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I remember playing Head in one of the video games. I don't remember which one, and it was just Head and a pair of gloves. And it was the hardest friggin' opponent ever. But if you got to play his Head, it was tremendous. It was the best. What a crazy...
All right, just a couple more comments on this one. Let's see. Another sweet move was Cole hit MJF with a straightjacket German suplex again on the hard part of the ring, outside the ropes on the apron. I thought that was pretty wild. Certainly was not expecting to see MJF working a straitjacket. Like, if you would have told me before the match we're going to see MJF do a flying elbow off the top rope to the floor through the table, and we're going to see MJF work a straitjacket German on the outside, I would have been like, you're smoking crack. But hey, they both happened. I guess the other thing I want to say, just two complaints about this match. I mean, yeah, it's a 30-minute time limit, but I thought they wasted a decent amount of time during the match. Like, overselling their knee. Like, Adam Cole did a fireman's carry into a backbreaker, and I guess he did slip, and it did look like it could have been dangerous, but yeah, you don't need to lay around for 3 minutes and sell that. It's just, I would prefer to see them move on to their next sequence. But it's kind of a minor complaint. It was an excellent match.
But then people complain about Sammy Guevara taking a power bomb from the top of a ladder and then immediately no-selling it. So either it's constant action or you're going to have to sell some moves.
Well, that's why Sammy Guevara gets 5 stars for that match, and Adam Cole is only going to get 4 for this one. So,
okay. Fair enough.
And if you don't like that, then, well, sorry. Make your own rating system and get it over. The last comment I want to make is the ref bump with Bryce Remsburg. I've been super busy with stuff for reasons I won't get into right now.
Just a couple reasons.
Yeah. But I did see a bunch of people bitching online about the referee bump. So what the spot was Adam Cole goes for a roll up. Well, MJF's arguing with Bryce and Bryce Remsburg, the ref, because he's mad that Cole didn't get counted out. And so Cole rolls him up. On the kick out, MJF is supposed to hit the referee and knock him down. Well, question, where's the referee supposed to be when you're pinning someone?
On the mat.
He's supposed to be in eye shot of the shoulders.
Yeah, that too.
So how do you kick out when the referee is looking at your opponent's shoulders? How does your opponent going to end up hitting the referee? Like, doesn't work.
Sometimes it's very contrived. However,
it was an impossibly designed spot. Like, I mean, between these 3 guys, I'm just surprised. Like, they couldn't have come up with a better way to do the referee. So we want the referee bump. So let's do it on a kick out. Well, the referee's not. When you kick your opponent off you, the ref is generally not going to be in the vicinity where your opponent is being kicked off. So
better than the ref bump from last week, where Ricky Starks accidentally nudged him with Jay White's foot, and then he was out for like 4 minutes.
I don't even remember that.
Anyways,
but yeah, they could have designed a better. They could have designed a better ref bump, and it was really surprising that. And Bryce Remsburg is a veteran ref. Like, it was surprising to me that these 3 guys couldn't have come up with. So I'm wondering if there was a fuck up. And as Brody Lee would have said, this wasn't an oversight. It was a fuck up. Someone fucked up here. And I'm just wondering if maybe Adam Cole was supposed to do a different type of roll up on MJF. So the kick out resulted in the ref bump. So maybe. Again, as Brody Lee would say, come on, guys, we don't need any more fuck ups. So
I miss Brody.
But yeah, awesome match. One of my favorites. I give it 4.5, 4.5 stars. Wonderful stuff to see on a Wednesday night on cable.
Absolutely. It was a pay-per-view quality match. You could absolutely have sold a pay-per-view for it, and they will sell it down the line. I just, starting off with a match of that caliber also sort of puts the international title on a similar level, because that's the normal spot for OC. After the match, they moved on to package. CM Punk talked about his return. Okay, cool. I don't have a lot to really say about that. It's just
Wait, did Punk actually talk?
There was a video package with Punk actually saying words.
Oh, I must have accidentally fast forwarded through that. Shocking.
It happens.
So Punk was talking. Was it like old footage, or was it new footage?
It was. I don't know. It was Punk talking.
Yeah. CM Punk speaks.
Yeah, cool.
All
Whatever.
right.
Yeah.
Great. I'm marking out.
Yeah, woohoo.
I'm
They had a
taking up my
video
place and
package.
going straight edge. After I finish this hard seltzer in my hand right now, I'm going straight edge for CM Punk.
Okay. He did say he was going to get things off his chest. He has a live mic in his hand.
You need to go straight edge too, Scott. No more THC.
I don't.
Come on, we have to please Punk here. We got to make him happy, or he's going to leave, man. He's not going to listen to our podcast unless we're straight edge like him.
I don't think I understand what you're asking.
I'm just saying we gotta please CM Punk here. I mean, he won't listen to our podcast anymore.
Hold on, I'm just trying to catch up. Are you saying not to smoke weed? Because
it's not straight edge, man. Punk doesn't. So no.
I'm not part of the straight edge society. I'm a satellite, man. Satellites Unite. Big hand band. JJ for life. CM Punk, he's cool and all, but he's no Jeff Jarrett.
That's true.
I can't give up my Jeff. So, I mean, I like Punk. It's a cool video package, but I'm definitely not going straight edge.
He's never going to be a guest on the show now.
You know what? He was never going to be a guest anyways, because we talked bad about him and hurt his feelings.
That's right. It's all about feelings. And we're both Colt Cabana fans, so that's not good for us, for our prospects.
That's what I'm saying, man. Boom, boom.
That's right.
So after the CM Punk video package, we roll right on into Sammy Guevara talking to Renee ringside. And they're still trying to turn him face. And did you know Sammy's going to be a dad? I mean, they've only mentioned it a few times, but did you know Sammy's going to be a dad?
Yeah, yes. And I'm glad they brought Sammy's old theme song back, because the theme song they played at the pay-per-view didn't have much character. I don't know what it was, but yeah, let's keep Sammy's original music. I love his theme. It's one of my favorite themes ever. So yeah, let's keep it.
And Lawyer Scott said it's a girl. So not only do we know that they're having a baby, we know it's a girl. And you know what? Nobody's ever had a baby before. So it's super important. And that's going to turn him face.
I will say this. My fiance today turned on the Sammy Guevara, his YouTube show, his vlog. And she made me sit through the whole gender reveal for their daughter. So she's into Sammy and Ty. She likes them. And, that helps my cause that Sammy's being on about this, because it's more interest to the casual fans.
It really, they should be, and they were, a big part of the All Access. They carry a lot of eyes. Maybe people hate them, but they'll watch them.
Not anymore after tonight.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyways, Darby comes out. He continues to try to build Sammy as a face. He's like, these people are starting to love you, man. And I don't know. I don't know if it's selling or not. He talks about Sammy.
I love it.
He talked about Sammy still being the JAS, and that brought out Jericho, and they had their confrontation. And he and Sammy faced off, where they talked about, why didn't you call me to help out with this match? And Sammy's like, well, why didn't you call me to help with that match? And they're pretending he's going to break up with JAS again. They did that once before. We'll see if it comes around again. Jericho had his bat, so he was strutting all badass in his pink stiletto boots. And then out came Sting. It's Sting! And Sting chased him off. Jericho had a bat. Sting had a bat. They slammed bats together. Bat fight! It was a segment. It sold something. I don't know exactly. I think it's Sammy and Jericho that are going to break up and finally have a match, maybe? Hard to know. But that was pretty much the end of that segment. And then they waited around because Sting was going, and Darby were in the next match. And they kept telling us they still have a match. They're going to have a match. Gonna have a match. Well, thanks, but they're still out. So I don't know. It was a very odd sort of segment.
I love this segment, and really? I thought it was building up a couple things here. Yeah. First off, I loved Sammy coming out and Darby and kind of acknowledging that, and I thought it took a little balls here, because I thought when Darby mentioned that, I'm like, is the crowd going to boo Sammy when Darby suggests they don't hate him anymore? And it was still mixed. It wasn't, but it was like 90% cheers, 10% boos. But I love to see the fans starting to support Sammy again. I think, that people are starting to get over Pam. I know it's hard because, she was such an exciting character. Apparently, I mean, I didn't get it, but, and then when, Jericho came out and brought up the Sex Gods, my favorite tag team ever. I'm like, talking about a match next week, and I'm all excited because we get to see the Sex Gods team up, and it might be for the last time. And then Sting came out, and so earlier in the week on Twitter, someone posted that Sting versus Jericho should happen at All In, and it should be Sting's retirement match. And
I don't think it should be Jericho to retire him.
And Jericho said, I would never fight Sting. That ship has sailed, or something along those lines. So I thought it was brilliant. Sting comes out. We get the dual bat showdown. We're going to get Jericho Sting at some point.
Oh,
Is it Sting's last match? I don't know. But it's exciting. I mean, Sting hasn't had a singles match in AEW that I don't think he has.
Nope. Been all tag. As far as I'm aware.
So we get to see Sting and Darby against the Sex Gods.
We did have the one match where Darby was taken out and Sting fought solo the whole time.
We did, yep.
But it was a tag match. Mm-hmm. It's just Darby was taken out.
Sting did well. I'm jumping ahead to the match, so I'll hold off on my comment there. But yeah, I thought the interview was great, and I'm looking forward to what comes out of that.
Okay, it was an interesting segment. They're still trying to get Sammy to be a face. It's going to happen eventually. People still have that negativity in their hearts because of Pam for whatever reason, mostly because Sammy and Ty are hot, and they're having sex. No, and they're having sex, and people hate beautiful people having sex. Just look at Carmella and Corey Graves. People hated them. So I understand the hatred. They did have a right after that segment, they did have a video where I believe he's the IWGP heavyweight champion, Sonata, issued an open challenge. Yep. And I thought that was a really interesting way. He came in, said, you know what? I'll take on anyone. Open challenge. Who's it going to be? We find out later. But I thought it was really interesting that was a way to build up his Forbidden Door match. So all sorts of Forbidden Door build up. What was that?
I'll talk about where this ended up going later in the show, but I was super happy to see Sonata and the title on. The title actually looked kind of badass on his shoulder. A lot of people have complained about the new IWGP title. Looks like the old Divas title in WWE, just with the New Japan play. It did look pretty cool on his shoulder. I still think it's a shadow of what the previous title was. The IWGP V4 title was one of the best titles ever. But anyhow, I was super happy to hear that Sonata's going to be defending the title at Forbidden Door. And the chat room was going crazy with all kinds of speculations around who Sonata's going to be defending the title against. Is it going to be Darby? Is it going to be Sting? Is it going to be Jericho? Is it going to be, there was a lot of suggestions, and no one suggested who it ended up being, but I'll save that for when we get to it.
I was quite surprised who ended up taking the challenge, and we'll definitely talk about that. However, the next match was the 8-man tag, which was Sting, Darby, Orange Cassidy, and Keith Lee versus the Mogul Embassy. Now, we did talk about it a little bit in our spot of the week. However, I did want to bring up that this was the match with the mystery text. And it was just a big black no. And that was it. Didn't even fade in fully.
I posted a picture in the chat when I saw it, and everyone got it. So I don't know what it was.
Everybody talked about it. I'm hoping that it's some sort of viral marketing, similar to what WWE did with the White Rabbit thing. Because that was tremendous. That got people talking. It created amazing buzz. And then it fell flat on its fucking face into a pile of dog shit. And so I hope this doesn't go the same way. However, that's where it showed up in this match. A lot of people were talking about it. Maybe it relates to Sting in his last match. I don't know. But I wanted to bring it up because, good Lord, what was it? We don't know, but we're definitely going to talk about it. Now, this match also had the monkey flip. I thought it was amazing. There were so many amazing spots that there's really no good way to do it justice. There really isn't. You have to watch this match. There was power moves from Keith Lee and Brian Cage. There was Darby taking the nasty spots. There were power bombs. There was a code red. There were so many different moves, dives and spins. If the top move is a 4-man power bomb super stomp avalanche combo, you could imagine some of the other spots. I couldn't really keep up with half of what's going on. The very end of the match came when Sting got Brian Cage in position for the Scorpion Death Drop. It got countered. Brian Cage got him in the F5 position. Orange Cassidy came in, hit him with the orange punch. Sting immediately countered back into the Death Drop, got the pin. Everybody celebrated. My God, this was a great match. What did you think? What were your thoughts on this match?
I thought it was decent. I didn't get to focus on this match as much as I would have liked. I did watch it twice, but again, there was other stuff going on. So
yeah.
I had already talked about I love the finish as well. The one thing I noted was Sting had trouble working an Irish whip into the corner. Probably like 2 or 3 minutes before the finish. It was just weird. Like, I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if he had a cramp or something. But yeah, I mean, the dude is 63 or whatever. So
he is.
So I think, we just have to have the right expectations in place for what he has left in the tank.
I mean, during the match, there was a spot where he and Darby kept doing the Stinger Splash Darby corner coffin drop. And I'm like, how many times does Sting need to do this? This dude is old. He's going to get winded. Darby you could see there was a little bit of a mix up, and Sting at one point was just standing there waiting for his turn. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of, going on a little wrong, but the live crowd loved it. They were eating it up, and Sting got to do his big stuff. So it was fine. Yep. But I'm like, my God, you're going to give this man a heart attack making him run that much.
2 other comments. Brian Cage with the face paint looking like Animal from the Road Warriors a little bit.
Actually, he was a Sting reference because he also had Sting pants on.
Okay.
He had the Scorpion on the side. Pants. Yeah, it was perfect Road Warrior Sting back when he and the Dingo Warrior were tag team partners.
Perfect gear to wear. It was perfect gear and face paint to wear when you're doing the job to the 65-year-old Sting.
It's true. And gives me hope that Surfer Sting will be available attire in Fight Forever.
I just felt like, Brian Cage had more charisma than normal in this match with the flashy gear on. And it's like, dude, that guy is like the most, like, if you take the jacked wrestlers of the past that were jacked like this dude, generally they suck. Generally, they're like Ted Arcidi was bad, and I'm trying to think of the overly jacked wrestlers. Scotty, like huge Scotty, huge Papa Pump was limited in the ring. Brian Cage can do anything, and
he really is amazing for his size.
And I just really hope that he can find a good gimmick or something. He really needs something to get to that next level, and I hope he finds it. I don't know that he will. I wouldn't bet that he will, but I hope he does. So
he's got great spots. He's got great power, and he's got the physique that people are looking for in Connecticut. He is a classic big man wrestler, but he doesn't move like that. He can move better, but he's still not quite as fluid as, say, like Wardlow.
And I don't know why they haven't signed him there, but Yeah, not sure what the issue is. Maybe he doesn't want to work there. There's too many rules, or his schedule's too busy. But my other takeaway from this match is, when are we going to get Swerve versus Strickland? I'm sorry, Swerve versus Keith Lee. When are we going to get that matchup? Like, we've been waiting months and months. And it's been teased, and they've been in tag match and multi-man matches. But I just want a one-on-one between these guys. Like, when is that going to happen?
October of last year.
Right. So when is it going to happen?
We're coming up on damn near a year.
So I don't know if Tony's approach is, well, let's build this match up so that it can headline the show.
Is this the slowest burn ever? I don't know. And what about Swerve versus OC? Is that done? He's in this match because Orange Cassidy's in this match. Right. So, Swerve has the ability, because he has so many people in his group now. He can feud with a bunch of different people. But yeah, I'd like to see the one-on-one with Keith Lee finally. Finally, let's get it. Let's get it done.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe when it finally happens, it's going to be incredible, and we'll say it was worth the wait. Maybe that's the approach. We'll see. Another
delayed gratification, perhaps. That seems to be the big direction that they're going, I guess.
Yep.
After that match, Renee, as always, she's their best interviewer, is backstage.
Apparently, they're only one lately.
Well, who else would you have? Alex Marvez?
She was on the show like 10 times. It was just too much.
She really was. She really is on the show far too much. Yep. But she's backstage with the Guns. And she asks them about the Bullet Club. They don't comment about it. They talk about calling out the Hardys. Okay, so they want to fight the Best Brothers tag team. They don't mean the Lucha Brothers. And they don't mean the Young Bucks. They don't mean the Martin Brothers.
Do they mean the Steiners?
Well, Steiners don't work for AEW, so I'll give them a pass on that.
They could, though. I mean, Forbidden Door, man.
I'm pretty sure they're not going to hire Rick Steiner. Not after the recent interactions he's had. I don't think
just be a run. Just do it in ROH, then it doesn't matter, right?
Honestly, I would love to see Rick Steiner get hired by AEW and get his ass whooped by Nyla Rose. That's all I'm saying. So we'll leave it at that. So there's the backstage conversation. They want to have a match with the Hardys. Whoop-de-doo. So next we move on. I know you don't have anything to say about the Guns, do you?
I do. For once. Please,
lay it on us.
I thought they looked pretty badass in all black. And then Austin looked like he was a freaking monster in that interview. Like he looked huge. I'm like, wow, these guys look pretty badass. And it's like, let's see what happens with this Bullet Club transition. Let's see if they can drop the goofy slapstick, cowardly heel nonsense that does nothing for veteran wrestling fans, or I should say most veteran wrestling fans. But I'm actually looking forward to what they can do. I don't have high hopes that I'm going to enjoy them in Bullet Club, but there's a possibility I will, and that's intriguing, and hoping for the best.
All right. Fair enough. I mean, I don't like the Guns up until now, but they could change my mind. You never know.
Not interested in their match against the Hardy Boys, that's for sure.
Oh, no, I'm definitely not interested in the match, but maybe they'll be interesting if there's some Bullet Club interaction.
I guess I would be interested in the next planned Jeff Hardy botch, because apparently all his botches are planned in advance now. I guess the DWI was a planned botch too. Oh,
yeah. Anyways, the next match was, it's big men slapping man meat. The TNT Championship match, Jack Hager versus the champion Wardlow. Now, Jake was smart. He tried to get the jump early. He tried to beat down Wardlow before the bell, tried to get an advantage, got him in the ring, match started, and predictably, Jake got killed. It ended up with a Powerbomb Symphony, and Jake lost. Not really much for me to say about the match. Wardlow, it was good. It was a big man meat match, but, Wardlow showed off that he's much better than Jake Hagar. Hagar sucks.
I have notes for everything on the show, including the interview segments, but I don't have any notes for this match. So, but I do recall I made some comments in the chat room about it. The first thing I said was, this show has great momentum up to this point. I hope Wardlow can keep it going. And some people suggested that he didn't, that Wardlow kind of lost the crowd a little bit in another predictable Wardlow match. The other thing I said was, remember Hager and Wardlow? I think it was during the pandemic, had that like MMA match that Jake Hager won.
I remember it.
Yeah, Jake Hager beat Wardlow. So the question was
that was a long time ago, though, when Hager was a lot higher on the card than Wardlow.
Yeah, he was getting title shots and having awful matches in the title shot scene.
Yeah. His stock was still fairly high at that point.
Yeah, I mean, he just wasn't able to. I mean, I like Jake. I like him as the muscle for the whatever stable Jericho.
He's a great heater. He's a great heater. He's got the hat thing, which, by the way, no hat.
No, he wore the hat. He wore the hat out and took it off, and he threw it on the ground.
See, no, that doesn't count.
First came out.
That doesn't count. He didn't wear the hat. No charisma. There's no way he was ever going to win. As a matter of fact, when the 8-man tag match happened, the Mogul Embassy didn't even get an entrance. You knew they weren't going to win because they couldn't even get a fucking entrance.
And it's like, it doesn't help the guys that people aren't familiar with, like that are part of that tag match.
Yeah, like the Gates of Agony. I don't even know their names. I can't tell them apart.
Bishop Khan and Toa Leona.
Okay. I believe you. I've heard those names before. I even read them. They're in my notes.
Yep.
But they're not sticking as characters. And so their names are just sliding out of my head. That tells me that they haven't connected. Because when they do, I'll remember their damn names.
Well, the thing is, I think, and again, I haven't watched much ROH, but I do think they fight more in ROH. But having these guys win a squash match on Dynamite, a couple weeks in a row, and we're going to know who they are. Have them get their signature moves in. Just give them 3 minutes or something, 4 minutes to squash someone, just to get them on the map. It would help, or at least fucking give them the courtesy of reading their names during the introduction. So,
yeah, they got the total jobber treatment, and that's fine,
man. These guys are badass. I like them. I think they're good, and I think we'll see more from them.
I do too. But after the match with Wardlow, we got Christian and Luchasaurus. Christian cut another typical promo, talking down to Wardlow, and there was Arn looking beaten down like his son Brock. And they made a match for Collision, Luchasaurus versus Wardlow. And I'm very interested to see where that goes. Do I think Wardlow will win? No, but I absolutely want Luchasaurus to win. Not because of Christian, but because I've been a fan of Luchasaurus since the goddamn show started. I didn't know who he was. I didn't watch him in Lucha Underground. But when he showed up with Jungle Boy, a boy and his dinosaur, I was interested. I wanted to see more about what Luchasaurus could do. I miss
the Lucha Express. I like the trios team with Marco. Yeah. I would love to see Marco come back in some capacity, but Tony won't bring him back because Jim Cornette doesn't like him, and that's what's important.
Tony only does things that Jim Cornette likes.
Exactly.
Okay, sure. We'll leave it at that.
Yep.
So that's Collision. I'm hoping it'll be a good match. I know you were interested in the next video package. Hiroshi Tanahashi calling out MJF.
I mean, like I didn't think MJF was even going to fight Forbidden Door. I thought Tony was just going to go with it, but Tanahashi comes on. I'm like, all right, who's Tana calling out? And when he said MJF, I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, this is a dream match. I don't think it's the dream match you didn't know you wanted.
Right.
I think it's going to be incredible. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen here. I mean, here you have basically the John Cena of Japan.
Oh, absolutely.
Tana was the IWGP champ. Those who don't know, for many, many years, he was the one that brought New Japan back from near bankruptcy. Tanahashi led the revitalization of New Japan back from the Inoki area, where Inoki Genome, and where he was bringing in shoot fighters and putting all these unknown shoot fighter guys over wrestlers, which killed the promotion. Tanahashi was the one that basically got the crowds back and started selling out the bigger arenas. Tanahashi and Okada were the guys that got me back into wrestling after Kobashi retired. So nobody was putting on 5-star matches anymore until Tanahashi and Okada started doing it. And that's what got me back into wrestling. This is those higher quality, the King's Road, strong style matches that go for 30, 40 minutes and are just brutal. Like that's the type of wrestling I love. That's the type of wrestling AEW provides on their pay-per-views and sometimes on their show on cable TV as well. And so just to see Tanahashi, this legend, going up against MJF, who, at 28 or 29 is a living legend almost.
He's starting to cement his legacy. There's
I'm
no
going to take
doubt.
some heat, but I mean, goddamn, it doesn't get much better than MJF. So I haven't really processed this.
Well, here's the thing. It was the segment later where MJF responded and he called it a indie fed from Japan.
Well, yeah,
and a no-name jobber.
No, he didn't say. I got the quote. He said, "A rando from a rinky-dink indie fed in Japan."
Okay.
I was dying. Like I was like, I hope he doesn't say who. Just don't fucking say who. At least acknowledge him. And then he didn't say who, but he said rando from a rinky-dink indie fed. And I was like, that's perfect. Like it's not like fucking Russo disrespect to Jushin Thunder Liger, saying nobody's ever heard of this piece of shit. Like, he called.
MJF knew exactly who he was.
Fuck yeah.
You could tell because of the MJF character that he was trying to downplay how important Tanahashi is and how important NJPW is. And he knows. Obviously, the fucking company works with New Japan. Obviously, he knows. But the way he sold it was phenomenal.
And there was a teaser. There was a teaser of this earlier in the night during the MJF Cole match. Tanahashi's signature move is a straight jacket German, and Cole gave MJF a straight jacket German on the hard part of the apron. So
there you go.
I don't know. I don't know how often Cole uses that move, or if he even does, or if maybe that's all it was just a teaser. It's just like that next level stuff that keeps the product interesting for veteran wrestling fans like us and the other elite marks. Join our Discord. Right.
It's the Easter eggs that go a next level beyond that the casual fans don't get, but don't take away from the enjoyment for the casuals. You don't have to get all the references that we do. By the way, speaking of, if you want to join us, you can join us in the Discord. Go to elitemarkorder.com, click on Join the Discord, or click on Join the Discord link in the comments down below. We would love to hear your opinion on the entire show, and especially some of these Forbidden Door matches.
And now, remember, if you don't join our Discord, it's not an oversight on your part. It's a fuck up, as Brody Lee would say.
That's true. That is true. In mind
for if you
and we don't need any more fuck ups.
That's right.
No, the next segment was Renee, who was in back with Orange Cassidy after his match. He was being all casual as always and just doing a little hangout with Renee. And suddenly Zack Sabre Jr. shows up and challenges Cassidy for his title at Forbidden Door. Wow, these matches are coming together quick. And while they're talking, Daniel Garcia rolls up and he says, "Hey, tell your friend Shibata I want a title match for my ROH Pure Championship." I guess Orange Cassidy is friends with Shibata? I don't know.
Yeah. Shibata was was
is that Chaos? Is that the Chaos
I'm not
connection
sure
with
which
Best Friends?
faction he's in, but Shibata is he's the pure champion.
Yep.
I think he beat Yuta, and for that title. And yeah, so Shibata was the one that had the massive head injury against Okada, and was not expected to ever wrestle again. So when he came back, he's like, Orange Cassidy is one of the guys I want to fight. And so he had that match with OC. I don't know. I want to say about a year ago, and it was great. And so OC and Shibata are friends, and it looks like we're going to get OC and Shibata against Zack Sabre and Garcia in a tag match, and that should set up 2 singles matches for Forbidden Door.
Yep. So that tag match is next week, and then that should set up, as you said, the Forbidden Door following. So I think that's going to be great. OC, of course, being the way he is, did everything else. So we'll just fight you next week. He's so casual.
What I liked about it was ZSJ shows up, and Zack Sabre never really struck me as like a bigger guy. Like, he's always looked pretty small in the ring, but he's got some height, and he's starting to bulk up as he's gotten older. He looked like a monster next to Orange.
He did look pretty big.
He looked pretty big, and I kind of dig that IWGP TV title. I thought that title was like when I first saw it, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was horrible, but it's like starting to grow on me a little bit. I like it.
It's kind of blocky.
Yeah, it's very blocky, but it's very unique in that way. It's like no other title design.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, he showed up, and again, he's a New Japan wrestler. If he wins the international title, that means more Zack Sabre Jr. on AEW television. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
So, have you ever seen a Zack Sabre Jr. match?
I mean, he had a match last year, didn't he? Against Cesaro?
I think he fought Claudio at
Forbidden Door. He had to replace Bryan Danielson, who got injured, which is why Bryan Danielson's not wrestling this year at all until Forbidden Door.
Well, Bryan is going to fight Zach at All In England.
We're supposing that, or has that been announced?
No, that hasn't been confirmed, but that's the expectation. Since Orange is getting Zach now, Zach is going to get, in his home country, he's going to get Bryan in front of the 80,000.
I'd be okay with that. Okay with that. Yeah. That's going to be an amazing match. They're phenomenal wrestlers. We all know Bryan Danielson, best in the world, GOAT, call it what you will.
But I'm excited about Zack Sabre. I thought he looked great in that interview. I thought he looked a lot bigger than Garcia too.
He did.
And I liked when he said, when Garcia was kind of rambling, Zach just kind of like put his hand on his shoulders, like, "Pack it in, Daniel." And Garcia just like walked off. So
there was a lot of good. Yeah, no, he really showed his charisma off in the couple of minutes that he was on screen. He was a very captivating guy when the camera was on him, and I'm excited to see more of his matches. I mean, Claudio, Bryan Danielson. He's fighting some of the best in the world, so he's got to be good.
And he is an old school UK style submission wrestler, and he will tie you up in a million different ways. That's not really my favorite style, so that's why I've never really sought out like ZSJ matches.
Regal style. It's a regal style.
I've always respected his work.
Yeah.
He's tapped Tanahashi, which not many people can say that. And he's racked up some big wins in New Japan, so it's going to be awesome to see. Like, him versus Bryan is a dream match. So just to hype that a little bit. So you have the Best Technical Wrestler award by Meltzer's Wrestling Observer, where his subscribers vote on the year-end awards. So Bryan Danielson won that award like 8 years in a row, and so Meltzer decided to name the award after him. And when Danielson went out, Zack Sabre Jr. won that award like 5 years in a row. So this has been building up for a really long time, and their match is going to be fucking sick. It's going to be like no match we've ever seen before, because you have two guys that are, gods at their style. It's just going to be phenomenal, and I can't wait to see it. So
the thing about Danielson is he's actually able to wrestle any style. He can wrestle anybody.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I'm excited to see those two, no doubt. We roll into the next section, which of course is the only women's section, the only women's segment that we're going to get. The AEW Women's World Championship, Sky Blue versus the champ, Toni Storm, accompanied by Ruby Soho, and a cardboard cutout of Saraya. Don't know why she's not on the show, but she wasn't on the show. I like Sky Blue. I think she's improving every single week. She's got a couple of moves that I enjoy, like she does a mat-based kick where she misses one, comes around for another. She's got some moves. She's got her code blue that she does. Different stuff. She's able to get some of her moves out. And she's tough. She's taking some really, really hard shots. And she's looking better and better in the ring every single week. Now, this was in Chicago, which I think is a reason why they had the Punk video package. Sky Blue is from Chicago. She's a native. She got a great response, and her mother is actually in the crowd. So there's a lot of interplay between her mother, Toni Storm, and Ruby Soho. At one point during the match, her mother actually gets hit with the spray paint, the green spray paint, and in retaliation, Sky Blue hits Toni with the blue mist, the blue spray paint. Gives her the advantage temporarily, gives her the visual pin. The ref's distracted. She gets up, turns around, deals with Ruby, ends up getting hit with the Storm Zero pin. Done. I thought that...
No, it wasn't Storm Zero.
Oh, you're right. She hit the Storm Zero and kicked out. She kicked out of the Storm Zero and then got hit with the Texas Cloverleaf and tapped out. You're right. I forgot.
And what a Texas
It's right there in my notes. It's right there in my notes, too.
I was like tapping out watching that because, man, fucking Storm cinched that on. She's like,
she did.
She's like, okay, you're gonna kick out of my finisher. All right, you're not gonna escape the next move.
That was what
begging for your fucking life, and she did.
That was the point, though, is that Sky kicked out of the Storm Zero. I thought, holy crap, really? I knew she wasn't going to win.
That was a nice nod. I mean, Jamie Hayter didn't kick out of it, so
no.
Of course, Jamie Hayter was extremely beat down with multiple people pounding on her shoulder and everything.
Not the
point. But it was good for Sky Blue. I'm glad that Storm is helping her look a little stronger.
She's worked with her a few times now, so she must have a lot of confidence about it.
But I think this match explains the ratings collapse for the night. I mean, everyone tuned in to see Saraya, and when she wasn't there, everyone's just like, you know what? I'm turning the show off because Saraya isn't there.
And 2/3 through the match, or 2/3 through the show, you knew there wasn't going to be any Jeff Jarrett, so there was no reason to watch. I mean, it doesn't matter about the Blackpool Combat Club versus the Hung Bucks.
Yeah,
that's really just not a draw. Obviously, Jon Moxley is not charismatic at all.
Right.
So that was the women's segment. After the match itself, of course, in heel fashion, the outsiders, I can never remember their stupid name. They start beating up the Ruby and Toni start beating up poor Sky. And who makes the save but Willow Nightingale, the strong women's champion. So there you go. They made a fun little segment after the match.
Willow Nightingale, your 2022
I'm telling you,
Rookie of the Year.
I'm telling you, this is Willow's year. This is going to be big. I think she's going to be women's champ.
I mean, she beat Sasha.
I mean, she beat Sasha. Sasha's better than Toni. Toni never even made it to the WWE main roster. Well, she did, sort of. She did, sort of. Yeah. She got pie faced a couple of times and then left. I can't really consider that a main roster run. But I thought it was a great match. Sky's looking better and better every week. Her teaming up with Willow, those two together, finally, again, somebody is like, hey, we need to have friends because the outcasts. So it was interesting.
Yeah, so I don't have any additional comments on that match.
There's not much to say.
Take it away if you want to.
The
talk
next
about
segment
Jungle Hook.
was exactly. It was Jungle Hook with
Summer
Renee.
of Jungle Hook.
Well, I mean, Jack Perry said right there, Hook is his best friend, and he absolutely would be honored if Hook could possibly stand Jungle Boy long enough to be in his corner for this climatic, titanic, sopranic match against the IWGP champion Sonata at Forbidden Door. There's something about this heel turn. It's really good. I'm waiting. You can see it coming. Somehow Jack Perry has turned into a good enough wrestler that even though he's playing babyface, you know there's a heel in there. And you see it coming out bit by bit. I like it.
Jungle Boy wants a singles title. He's not going to get a shot against Orange because they're both faces. So what's he going to do? What singles title? He's not going to beat Wardlow. He's not going to beat MJF. He already had a shot. So what singles belt does that leave for him?
You're saying the FTW championship.
There you go. Jungle Boy is going to turn heel and beat Hook for that FTW title. He's going to hand Hook his first loss. And that is going to get Jungle Boy nuclear heat.
I don't know if Hook is that over anymore. He is still over. I don't know if it'll get nuclear heat, but I do anticipate if he wins the title, he and Christian team back up again.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Like, I don't know where that leaves Luchasaurus.
Same place it did before.
I wouldn't mind seeing them in the trios competition. You know, those
That's
three guys
what I would
together.
think is...
I'd rather see Marco with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
Yeah. Here's the thing. With Marco in the trio, there's no chance they'll ever win. With Christian in the trio, there's a chance they'll win. That's the difference in the team up.
I mean, Marco's better than Christian ever was. No, not getting not getting agreement there.
Think that that's true. No, I really don't. Marco Stunt might be a better singer. I'll give him that. He's a better singer than Christian.
So Jungle Boy gets his shot at the IWGP heavyweight title against Sonata. So
at Forbidden Door
Sonata,
with Hook in his corner.
The chat room groaned when we heard it was going to be Jungle Boy. Nobody is excited to see Jungle Boy lose to Sonata. This might begin the Hook heel turn. I don't know, because he asked Hook to be ringside for this match. I don't know that Sonata has anyone who can second him that could interfere or lead anything else, but whatever happens, you know,
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing. Hook is a face. He's not going to interfere. He's there to counter heel interference. Sonata is not a heel. So there's not going to be heel interference for Hook to be involved with. There is something that's going to happen. Yep. And either it's going to cause the breakup immediately, or it's going to be the reason for the breakup later. There's going to be something that happens in this match. Hook is going to cost Jungle Boy the title somehow. Now, does that mean that Hook actively takes a hand and turns on Jungle Boy, and Hook turns heel and Jungle Boy stays face? I sincerely doubt it. So, I think Jungle Boy's going to just blame Hook for his loss, and that'll be the heel turn. I don't know if it'll be as interesting as we want it to be.
Sonata is going to play the heel here, I think. Sonata does tag with Taka Michinoku. Taka is a fucking awesome heel. He's super fucking annoying, and I think that might be what happens here. So if Sonata comes out with Taka, that would be pretty wild. It would be great to see Taka on American TV again. It's been a really long time. You remember Taka's run in WWE, right? Back in the day?
I absolutely remember Taka Michinoku.
Yeah.
I remember him absolutely.
I think that would be a really awesome approach. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyhow, yeah, so Sonata, I think, could be playing the heel here since he's going against a face, so he could bring some of his stable, you know, Dookie or Taichi or Kanemaru, some of those guys. But yeah, Sonata was trained by Great Muto, Keiji Muto, and so he does a lot of Muto's moves. You know, you could see a Shining Wizard. You'll definitely see a Moonsault or two. But yeah, it's gonna be a good match. But there's no believability that Jungle Boy has any chance to win here.
No.
Whereas if it would have been Moxley or Claudio, like, you know, we would have been.
You mean
like,
somebody believable?
Yeah, and then or Eddie Kingston. So Eddie Kingston's going to be in the G1 Climax in Japan.
That's why I think he was involved with the BCC brouhaha at the end of the show.
Yeah,
is because he was building up his Japanese involvement with Takeshita and some of the other guys, Osprey who came out. I think that's why Eddie was involved in that whole thing. It was just a big clusterfuck anyways, but I think that he was involved because of the G1 connection. But that's really it. That was the end. The next part was the main event, which we've covered heavily, and that was the end of the show. There's not really a whole lot left to say about it, to be honest. I enjoyed it. You certainly thought it was one of the best ever.
Yep.
I'm excited as always, week after week. I want to see where they're going. I love these stories. Anybody who says that AEW doesn't have stories isn't paying attention. We got Collision Saturday, and Fight Forever comes out in something like 10 days, something stupid like that. So going to be a fun time. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you very much for listening. As always, join us at the EliteMarkOrder.com website. Join us in the Discord. Leave us your comments. We'd love to hear from the lovers and the haters. What did you think of this? We want to know what your opinion was, and we look forward to seeing what the next Dynamite will bring. As always, Elite Mark Order for life, JJ for life.